Hi, everyone. I'm Shani Fay. Welcome to High Value Habits, where I give you how-to strategies to uplevel your life through the habits and choices you make and the actions you take. I'm so pleased to share with you a wonderful guest today. Her name is Coach Tam. She's a beautiful human being and very inspiring. So Tam, welcome to the show today. Please introduce yourself.
Thank you so much for having me, Shani. I'm so excited to be here. I am an online fitness coach and nutrition coach. I own my own business. It's called Tam's Fit Fam, and we have several lifestyle clients. And our main goal is to help women find a balance between fun and fitness and a lifestyle that they love, where they're able to reach their goals without giving up their favorite foods.
That sounds amazing. And I know you inspire so many people and are such a great motivator. Today, we're talking about the topic of mindset. And I know you're an expert on this. And I wanted to hear from you about how that relates to good habits.
Yeah. So mindset is something I'm super passionate about because for the vast majority of the beginning of my fitness journey, and I feel like a lot of women's fitness journeys, they feel they lack the mindset portion that's going to really help them change their habits for the long term. So like I mentioned earlier, my main goal is to help women create sustainable lifestyle changes, because part of my journey was that I always looked for a quick fix or the next fad diet just because I wanted to see results quickly. I was impatient. I'm still very impatient, but that's something that I've learned a lot through my journey. It's just a big part of my philosophy to find sustainable changes. And that really comes down to your mindset, I believe, because it's if you don't have the right mindset, you can't really make the mental shifts that are required for you to actually change the habits that have been so ingrained in your life for so long.
This is so exciting because I know a lot of women and men too, but a lot of women fall in the category of what you had mentioned before. You know, they get excited to do something, they get something started, but they don't know how to create a habit of it. And, or they'll wake up someday and their head's just not in the right space to do the thing that they had committed to doing. So, what can you share with us about that?
Yeah, so this is actually something that's been coming up a lot recently in myself and also in my clients. So in myself, I kind of managed to overcome it just through reading some books about self-sabotage. But self-sabotage is something that I see a lot of women doing. They'll sign up for our program, they'll be super excited, really motivated, really inspired to make changes and change their habits, change their lifestyle, and then they will be given the tools. So maybe before they joined our program, they didn't have the tools and they didn't know what they were supposed to change, but now they know what they're supposed to change and they still just don't actually do those things. So one of the biggest things that I've been trying to learn about myself and just about how the human mind works is why those changes aren't being implemented if you actually know what it is that needs to be implemented.
And a lot of times, if you ask somebody, why isn't this happening for you? They have reasons, right? And they could even be valid reasons like,
Mhm.
well, I worked extra this week, or I had to take care of my family, or I didn't feel like I had the money to go to the gym this month. Or, you know,
Mhm.
people always have reasons why they perhaps fail. It's a hard word to use, but it's a true word, right? Or, you know, they're unable to meet their goals because of these reasons. And so, how can we share with us how you would suggest them getting past those reasons, or sometimes people even call them excuses or limitations, or you mentioned self-sabotaging
Mhm.
behaviors that get in the way, and how a mindset shift could steer them in a better direction.
Yeah. So I think the biggest thing that they can do is first understand why those reasons might be excuses. Like you said, sometimes they're valid, sometimes they are valid. But when it becomes a repetitive thing that they're always providing reasons, aka excuses as to why they can't do the things, I always encourage them to reflect inwardly and ask themselves, like, do I really feel like I have what it takes to accomplish these things? And then if I do have what it takes and I begin to make those changes, maybe they're feeling a little bit resistant to whatever it's going to require of them to do repeatedly. Maybe they're just not ready in their subconscious or conscious mind to actually repeatedly do those things because they're uncomfortable. Going to the gym is uncomfortable. Picking a healthier option when you're so used to just picking the most convenient option for a meal is uncomfortable to do until you finally realize that those things make you feel so much better.
This is so valuable. I'm so glad that you're talking about this. And, while I'm listening to you, I'm thinking about the word self-importance. And as women, especially, sometimes we can put ourselves last, right? Like, well, I'm a woman, I'm supposed to meet everyone else's needs, and whatever's left, I'll take the little crumbs and I'll find my workouts at that time, or I'll work on my nutrition, or make sure I go to the store and buy healthy things instead, or whatever. And so what do you know about that piece of it in terms of women, or anyone really? If a man is listening to this, it's just as valid for him too. But, can you speak to the idea of this, of making ourselves important and carving out time, and it being okay for us to say no to other people or other things so that we can do this important thing for ourselves?
Right. And that self-importance piece is an internal, I think, conflict or an internal realization that might be really hard for some people to come to terms with. Because, yeah, like you may have the tools, you may have the instructions to do the things, but if you don't find the importance in your own self, then it can be hard to actually do those things. And so, what I feel is important for anyone who's putting other people before themselves to realize is that if you are putting other people before yourself all the time, you are not going to be able to show up as the best version of yourself. And then your relationships, your job, your performance, your day-to-day life is going to suffer. And ultimately, you are going to suffer. Because if you consciously come to me or anyone who's trying to help you improve something that you sought help for, then that's something that is bothering you in your day-to-day life, or something you feel that you should improve on or be better about. And so sometimes I think for those people who are often really selfless and think of others, they can maybe make that mental shift and realize that by thinking of yourself just as much as you think of others, you're then able to provide others with a better life experience because your own life experience is more clear, more valid, more happy.
For sure. I agree with you 100% on that. And I just want to say, from my perspective, it doesn't have to be a them or me situation, right? It can be a both. Like I can be selfless in these ways and take care of the people and tasks and responsibilities that are important to my life. And I can include myself in that. And it can be a both kind of a thing, or an all-inclusive kind of a thing, instead of a one or other. Like, what do I have to give up to make myself important? You don't have to give up anything. Maybe you just reprioritize in the moment, or in your schedule, or in your thinking.
Or in your activities too. Like a big part of our program and how we help women is through weightlifting specifically, which I know that's just what your daughter does as well, which is super fun because we're colleagues in the same field. But I feel like when you get into that specific industry, it might be harder for you to realize that you don't only have to participate in that one specific activity. You can also involve yourself in other things that will involve your family. So if you're someone who does find it hard to find time to make time for yourself, and you feel like you need to sacrifice time with your family or with your friends or whatever else you feel like you need to sacrifice, you can, just like you said, incorporate those things into your daily life. You can go bike riding with your family. You can go for a hike if you're, in a mountainous area. That's something I wish I could do. But in Florida, there's no hikes nearby.
Come visit.
I know. It's on the agenda.
Yeah. And on the flip side of that, you can invite them to activities you like too, right? And I do that. Sometimes friends will say, hey, do you want to hang out Friday evening? And I say, well, I'm going to the 5:30 class. You're welcome to join me, and maybe I can catch you after, but I need to prioritize that for myself. And my friends and family have acclimated to that. So they don't feel that yoga is more important to me, for instance, but they know that it's very important for my health and well-being for myself. And that if I then meet them later or the next day instead, I'm a happier version of me, right? And if you're a person that's looking to build community, you can also look for people in the activities that you like or the interests that you like. So for instance, I have a lot of friends now in the yoga community because we all show up there time and time again and run into each other. And it's fun to have people who want to do the activities that you do, especially healthy ones.
Exactly. And just like you said, your family will acclimate to these things. So it might be hard in the beginning, but the habits that you will eventually make and set for yourself and become repeated, just normal parts of your daily routine, your family will acclimate to that as well. And if I firmly believe that if you just explain to them why you're doing some things, or if they genuinely love and care about you and about your health and well-being, it's not like you're going out and doing something that's unhealthy or bad for you. You're genuinely striving to make yourself better. And if they care about you, they will support you in that and want to see you succeed in that.
Absolutely. And, the same for my clients. When clients book me, I have a lot of clients who happen to do just a repeat booking. They see me on the same day at the same time, and they tell their family or they tell their boss or whoever they need to share with, hey, it's Shani Day. It's Tuesday Shani Day, and I am not going to be available after 4 o'clock. Or, hey, on Wednesday morning at 8 o'clock, I'm not going to be here. I'll be with Shani. And, I really admire that about my clients, in that they're so committed to their health and their success in life that they prioritize that as if it's an essential part of life. And that's how I schedule myself now at this point too. I'm so busy with my business that the only way for me to take care of myself is that I book it in as a regular appointment every single week. So now we've talked about sort of the logistical part, but what about the other piece of, someone just doesn't have the self-confidence to follow through, or they're going through a rough time, or they're having some lack of self-esteem or some depression or some anxiety, or they're not sleeping well enough and they're tired and they don't have the energy to follow through. Are there things that you can suggest in terms of how to self-motivate so that you can follow through?
Above all else, there's several things that I want to say, but I think the most useful thing would be to set small goals for yourself and incrementally build upon them. So
what's an example of that?
Yes, an example of that would be, this week, I'm going to sleep 8 hours 3 times at least. So it's a realistic, very small goal that you can make sure to accomplish.
It's
and then
measurable.
Yes, it's measurable, it's attainable, and then it's also time bound. You're giving yourself a deadline and you're giving yourself a specific amount. And that way you are not only allowing yourself to achieve that goal, which will improve your self-efficacy, your belief in your own abilities to do things, then you're able to realize, okay, I can just do this again next week and maybe add something else to make it a little bit more challenging, or just make sure I'm improving every single week by a tiny, tiny bit. And so an example of that would be either adding another day. I'm going to sleep 4 days next week for 8 hours, and then continuing to build upon that infinitely until you achieve your goals.
Yes, I love this concept of SMART goals. And so let's just back it up one moment, because what I think a lot of people intellectually can understand that, but in terms of putting that in practice,
Hi, Bailey.
in terms of putting that in practice, I think one of the hardest pieces is just starting, right? And so let's say a woman wants to go to the gym and she wants to improve her overall fitness level and the way that she feels in her clothes and feels about her body, and is lacking some the drive to go do that because she's feeling self-conscious about herself and thinks, well, right now in the state that I am, I don't really belong here. I see all of these fit people at the gym and I don't feel like I belong in this group right now. What do you do just to start?
Right. So
it doesn't have to be fitness either. It can be any topic, right. But what if someone's stuck at the, I don't know how to get started phase? Yeah. How would you encourage them to do that?
The getting started phase is going to be the most challenging phase. And so first understanding that and letting them know, if they're a client of mine, coaching them through that and letting them know, hey, this part is going to be the hard part. But if you push through, eventually you will feel like you belong. You will feel more accepted or more confident in that space because you'll be more used to it. However, you can't actually get to that part where you feel more used to it and more confident because until you actually do those things. So something to help you actually do the things would be find a friend to go with you to the gym if you feel intimidated by it, or to go with you to do any activity that you feel intimidated by, but you want to get started. Doing some reflection or journaling about why you feel intimidated, and then just kind of coming to terms with the realization that whoever is going to be there, if we're talking about the gym specifically, most people who are at the gym are focused on their own form or their own workout routine, or maybe they're feeling the same way and wondering who's looking at them, so you can just find a little bit of comfort knowing that most of these thoughts are just in your head, and part of the growth process is pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone and doing the things that are going to make you a little bit uncomfortable.
That's right. So I'm going to shift to a different paradigm. Let's say, someone is working on their weight and, trying to get to a healthier place in their body, and they say, well, I'm going to start eating at healthier places, and I'm going to go to a place like Whole Foods and eat there, or Flower Child or Zeal, or some a very healthy place. And they're like, but I'm overweight and I feel ridiculous going into this place. Maybe the first time you don't even eat there. Maybe you say, today, all I'm going to do is walk in, say hello, say, I'm just checking the place out, and walk back out. And the next time you go in and you pick up takeout and you don't sit there. And then the third time you actually sit there and you order a meal, and it may be with a friend like you suggested, or same at the gym. Maybe the first time you go to the gym, you simply go and walk around and see, am I going to use machines? Am I going to use free weights? Am I going to use a treadmill or something for cardio? Where is everything that I need? Where's the locker room? How do I feel in here? And then the second time you say, I'm going in for 10 minutes. I'm just going to go in for 10 minutes and I'm going to do two things and then I'm going to leave, and so it doesn't have to be a big ordeal either. You can start small and make it safe for yourself. And anyone could decide then, what does that mean to feel safe? And that was a theme that came up in last week's episode, people feeling safe, but make the goal small enough that you can have success and it's not overly intimidating.
Mm-hmm. Right. And that's funny that you mentioned to walk in and just walk around the gym, because that's actually something I also recommend for our clients is, before your workout, or if you're going out of town and you're getting a workout in somewhere else, a new gym, that can be intimidating as well. So just walk around, see where everything is. If you have a plan, if you don't have a plan, I recommend going in with a plan so that you're a little bit more confident in what you're doing, and then look for the machines that are in your plan. And take kind of a few laps and acclimate yourself. I always do that whenever I go to new gyms.
Yeah, right. And, you don't have to wear sports bra and yoga pants either. You can kind of be on the down low. Or I know one trick for people that don't want to interact or engage with people at the gym is they put on headphones, not little ones that go in your earbuds, but giant headphones. Right. So people are very clear that you're not there to socialize. You're there to get your thing done. You could put a playlist on that you feel good about, that makes you feel happy. Walk in with your headphones on, and the rest of the world doesn't really exist, right? You're in your own world of, I'm listening to my own thing. I'm going to do what works for me, and I'm going to get out. Yes, until you start liking it there. And that's the place I think that we all want to get, is that mind shift of, I can't, I'm scared, I don't want to I'm excited, I can, and this is awesome. Right. But sometimes we can't shift that far even in one self-reflection. Sometimes we have to make steps toward the shift, and we do get there by practicing and creating a habit of taking small steps in that direction.
Exactly. Yes. And that's an important part, is to realize and set the proper expectations with yourself and your own journey, that it's not going to happen overnight, and that's okay. It normally doesn't happen overnight, and everybody did start in the same place that you started as well.
Definitely.
So realizing that and then understanding and pushing through that will eventually help you get to that moment of, I look forward to this. This is something I want to do all the time.
Yeah. So, my final question for you that I think is really important is, what happens when you do let yourself down? What happens when you accidentally give up your self-importance and you don't show up because you show up for someone else instead. And sometimes that has to happen, right? I'm not saying that
Right.
there's not a time that that doesn't happen, but when you let that happen too frequently, or you have your alarm set and you're going to go do things and you set your snooze or you turn it off and you say, nah, I just don't feel like it today. Can you please talk about the mindset piece of how to get over that or forgive yourself or whatever, however you want to coin that, and start again?
Right.
Or how, when the alarm goes off and you say, I'm not doing that, I'm going back to sleep, how you say, actually, I am, and this is why I'm going to. You can talk about any of those pieces, but I'm really curious about that because I think that also happens to most people at some point.
Definitely. And that's the important part to realize as well, is that that does happen to most people. And one of the things that I hear a lot in the fitness industry or in my line of work is people saying that they fell off track, that they like fell off the wagon. And it's not necessarily
I've heard that too.
right. And it's not that you fell off track, because there really isn't any track. It's just your life. And so understanding that sometimes life happens and you should have compassion with yourself and learn to forgive yourself, because just like you said, sometimes that stuff has to happen. And the only thing that you can really do is, no matter what has happened in the past, realize that you have control over what can happen right now and in the future. So no matter how many days you took off of the gym or how many workouts you missed, meals you didn't plan out, whatever it may be, all you can control is what you do moving forward. So beating yourself up or dwelling on the mistakes you made or regretting the 10 pounds you gained, it's not going to help you move forward and get closer to your goals. So focus on the things that you can do to get back into the swing of things, and then do those things.
And maybe that also means reevaluating your goals, right? Maybe you said, well, I can make it 6 days a week. And you realize, well, I can only make it 3 or 4 times a week, at least at the beginning, until you start recalibrating your life, right? So when we're not showing up for ourselves, maybe our goal was a little too lofty and we have to make a small adjustment or even a big adjustment. And then we're not stuck to that either. Let's say we drop from 6 days down to 3 days a week, and that's working for our lifestyle, but we're still wanting to add on to that. Maybe we can do that slowly over time. Add a 4th day the next month, add a 5th day the following month, until our life is built around a lifestyle that supports our goals or the outcomes that we're hoping for.
Exactly. And I think that one of the things that I don't like about the fitness industry is that it's always grind, like push harder, go more, do more.
There's never an end, right?
Right. And it's good to push yourself, but you have to understand that if you push yourself too much, like that might be unrealistic for your current lifestyle. And like you said, starting small is great, and being consistent is better than doing too much and then quitting altogether. I've been there before.
People also just don't have the motivation to do it themselves, right? So you spoke about bringing a buddy to the gym. I personally am a workout with other people kind of a girl. So even though I, for instance, have a hot room at my house that I can heat and just sweat my brains out, I can invite a friend over, and that's fun sometimes, but I really like to go to class. And I know that if I'm going to be performing at my peak, I have to go into a classroom where there's a teacher leading. Even though I taught hot yoga, I need to go and let someone else lead me. Right. And so I just want to do a little plug for coaches here, because a lot of us are not self-motivated. I could not go to the gym 5 days a week on my own without a friend or a coach. I just wouldn't go. I know that about myself. That's not how I'm wired. So I just want to say too, and part of the reason that you do what you do is because so many people need someone else to sort of either inspire them, hold them accountable, join them, hold their hand, problem solve through what's not working, give new ideas, watch your goals, help you implement new things. So, I just want to say really loud and clear to everyone, it's okay if you're not good at doing it yourself. That's what
Mhm.
coaches are for. And coaches aren't just in the fitness industry or in the nutrition industry, even though that's what we're talking about right now. Coaches are in every aspect of life,
Mhm.
relationships and career oriented and financial and all of these other. And we just don't have to be alone in reaching our goals.
Yes, that's another very masculine trait about our society that I also dislike is that people believe that asking for help is a sign of weakness or a sign of, yeah, just a sign of weakness. And that's not the case. It's a sign that you want to be better and that you're willing to do the things that are necessary to be better and that you're willing to learn and grow and open up your mind to the possibility that you might not know everything. And that's fine.
Yeah. I think listeners are going to get so much out of what you've shared today. Is there anything else that you feel really inspired to share with us before we wrap up today?
Mm, I think I feel inspired to share that no matter what you decide to choose, what you choose to do with your journey in fitness or in nutrition or whatever, find something that you're passionate about that genuinely lights you up and wants to and makes you want to do those things. Because if you don't and you try to fit into something that doesn't really light a fire under you, then it's not really going to be worth it for you. And it's going to be even harder for you to stick to.
Yeah. So I just want to say something vulnerable here. I have gotten the help of Avery as a coach and Tam as a coach. So I'm a person that falls in that category of I'm not good at this by myself. So if you're feeling like you should be good at everything alone and it should be a solo journey, you're welcome to look at my example. I'm not good at that. I like having coaches. I've learned so much both from Avery and Tam. And I have other types of coaches in my life too that I'm not going to mention right now. But oops, excuse me, I lost my computer for a second. That was hilarious. Anyway, if you want help, please do seek out Tam. Tam, can you please tell us how we can find you, how people can get the support they need from you?
Absolutely. Yes. So I do offer podcast coaching. I offer business coaching and also fitness and nutrition coaching. And you can find me for all of that through Instagram at fit.coach.tam, TAM.
Fit.coach.camp, Tam. I love that. Thank
Yes.
you so much. You have such a wealth of information to share. I love your smile and your bright light and the help that you're giving to the world.
Thank you so much for having me, Shani. I
My
loved it. This
pleasure.
conversation was awesome.
Go find Tam if you want some help. Take care, everyone. I hope to see you soon. Until next time, goodbye.